Yo, yeah, so to get started in this BS, BS and redemption, BS and redemption, biblical slavery, exposing the bullshit, and this being the ultimate Bible study, you know, and through all this, we all shall receive redemption, and we all shall be ascended to the level of redemption and level of atonement, and to a level where we can finally gain the overstanding, the understanding, the overstanding, and the connectedness, and we can bridge the gaps in the psychology of society today, now, you know, and for the rest of eternity after this. I'm quite positive, but understanding the dynamics of the English language before we even get into this lecture, understanding the dynamics of the English language, my bad, is going to be key for the rest of our lives. For the rest of our lives, understanding the dynamics of the English language, you know. Um, it's important to understand that when the European first encountered foreign peoples, who were the Indians, who were, the Tasmanians, the Lucayan Indians, the ancient African Kemetic peoples, when he first encountered these people, he didn't know what they were doing or what they were saying. When it came time we was in our groups and we was chanting and doing our praises, he killed us for that, and because he didn't understand what we were saying, and he called it evil, satanic, voodoo, you know, all of those things. It became those things, and even in slavery, when we was on the plantation, whenever one of our ancestors, one of our forefathers would, try to tap into their original their original energy and their original custom, you know, and when they be doing their thing, they killed them, you know. And so it's very important to understand why, you know, they made us speak the English language, you know, and they try to keep us from reading, you know, because because just as I was saying, they was afraid of it. It all goes back to the same: people fear what they don't understand, you know, and that's basically what I'm breaking down when I tell you how they killed our ancestors. They killed the Indians because they didn't understand what they were saying. And so now they've dominated the world just by the English language, just by their language. And now, that's why it was so important for them to make us speak their language. And it still is, so they could not be afraid anymore, because they're, like they can finally understand what we're saying, you know. And understanding the way that we have been, this whole English language is a conspiracy within itself. A language is a conspiracy between two different people, and I'm just trying to lay down the base before we get into the Bible study, you know, and just understanding that the English language itself is a matrix, is a conspiracy within itself, you know. When you have things like food comes from a plant, but you can produce food in a plant. You can produce it in a factory plant, in a factory, and they call that a plant. This is the type of mind warping and brain chaining. This is the way you begin, a new type of slavery when you have this type of language, and to an extent where in the Bible it says things like, yeah, he shall wash you out as white as snow, and it's supposed to be a pure thing, as white as snow. And if you look up the words white and black in a dictionary, understand the way that they program you instantly, and the way that when we use it in society, Um, Anytime on the job, if somebody, bribes somebody on the job, they call it blackmail. You know, whenever it's whenever it's a whenever it's a product that may be stolen or you're not too fond of, it's that black market shit. Whenever it's somebody who's, an outcast of the family, you know, you call them the black sheep. You know, it's very it's very interesting. And to the point where the black man's science is black magic. You call it black magic, but when it's just magic, it's Penn and Teller, and it's cool, and you can put it on TV. So these are the types of connected conspiracies, right inside of just the English language itself, and the way that we're programmed just by that. And the way that things are used. And it's interesting how you can go anywhere and white people are totally analytical with things. We could talk about Syrians, the Libyans. We could talk about people where we'll never go. We could talk about Mexicans crossing the border, things like that. Iraqis, Pakistanis. We can even talk about black on black crime. And white people are totally analytical when it comes to all of these things to the whole world. But as soon as you say something about white people, it's almost as that it's you're racist for that. You know, and they develop this amnesia, this instant amnesia. Where they don't want to hear it. And it's almost as if you have no right to tell them when they are wrong, or point out their flaws, or laugh at them. So it's a form of mind control. You know, in conversation. And this is something that has also happened through history, because back when white people promoted whiteness, unfortunately, it wasn't anything that was, um, celebratory or positive, or something that the world could celebrate, that we all could celebrate. You know, it was promoting separation, hatred, division, bootnecking, you know, type deal. You know, white supremacy. It was white over everything. You know, and it really wasn't celebrating any positive in history. You know, and consequently, therefore, when you speed it up in 2013, and also, even in the history books, even in our history books, even right now, it doesn't say white people. The term white people isn't there. It says, the Northerners, the Southerners, the Confederate Union, the British, the French. You know, it has a technical term with it. You understand? And it doesn't say white people. Like today, not even on the news. Whenever it's about white people, they're just gonna say the city's name or the state's name. But whenever they want to talk about this certain group of people, it's the the blacks in Chicago, or the Mexicans in Chicago, or the Philippines and Macon get together. They always, and that's not racist. But as soon as you say white people is racist, and this is why. And this is why, because the way that the word has been placed. And consequently, as I was finna say, consequently, being that you have all this here, and this such a negative history and true connotation with the word, you know, consequently, when you speed up to 2013, you fast forward to 2013, and all this information is out about African peoples, in our true ancestral bloodline, and our achievements and accomplishments. It consequently makes us racist or wrong to be proud to be black, So that's how they pushed us all back in this corner mentally, by the English language.